Good morning once again on this pretty miserable day, and it's actually quite cold in here, and I shall remedy that by installing some sort of heater. No problem. Now then, when I make my videos, I have to write them down before I start to cover as much as possible from different people. I don't just copy one person. I research it into 5 or 6 different people's opinions and come up with my version, or their version, but distributed between many people. Now, the internet, in my humble opinion, and many others, is that the internet is far more reliable than mainstream media. But maybe not from platforms like X or Facebook, TikTok or Instagram. The more serious platforms are Substack, Rumble and YouTube, even though YT is quite biased sometimes. It does have its moments. Having said that, it is all based on collectivism, just like most of the world today. And collectivism seems like a harmless word until you consider its synonyms like communism, Marxism, Leninism and totalitarianism, which seems to be a very prominent feature in today's West. And the basic principle of collectivism is that everything that is mine, and everything that was yours is also mine. A bit like being married to a narcissist, I guess. And collectivism is thoroughly elitist and oppressive, and supported by commercial organisations and lobby groups such as the intellectually and emotionally barren World Economic Forum, whose members seem to regard themselves as being superior to the masses, and they see themselves as entitled to rule. These people usually with lots of money. And there are such conspiracy groups such as the Bilderbergers, a group of elite American and European politicians, business leaders, financiers and academics, seen by some as the basis for a new world order. Don't take my word for it. Look them up. And while you're at it, look up someone called Ayn Rand. That is Aynrand. And her books are still in print and well worth reading, trust me. Ayn Rand realised that by using compliance and blind obedience as weapons, the elite would take complete control over people's lives. And that is exactly what happened. That's what's happened today. And the basic principle is that the individual must be suppressed in order to protect and promote the rights of the people of the state. Ring the bells? Yeah, go back a few years, pre-91. And collectivism has given power to the World Health Organization and the European Union and other undemocratic organizations and institutions which claim to know what is best for the rest of us, and which have, without even a vague nod in the direction of democracy, presumed to offer themselves as the world's leaders. What right do they have to do that? Money. Money talks. And they have ruthlessly promoted the idea that individuals must be sacrificed to the needs of the greater number, and they are willing and able to use wealth, status and force to ensure their ideals are met. And they have, by taking over ownership of the world's elected governments and of course, the mainstream media, and have taken on the responsibility of making all our decisions for us and taking away all of our freedoms. And collectivism encourages people to stop thinking for themselves and to do as they are told. Many people would prefer that. I certainly do not. And it is collectivism which has driven the absurd practice of recycling, which virtually none of the material, especially in this country, I know that, none of the material so carefully and obediently collected and sorted is actually recycled. And the cost of the exercise is in every sense vast. Councils have already been caught sending containers full of recycled trash to countries that actually recycle stuff, at the cost of sending it, of course. And it is collectivism which has spawned the cancel culture, the suppression of inconvenient truths and the oppression and demonisation of truth-tellers. And sacrifices must be made for the greater good as it is envisaged by the collectivists. They want the power and the control over you and I and everyone else. Hospitals and general practices are like schools, run according to collectivist principles, and there is no room for the sort of individualism which is contained in the Magna Carta or enshrined in the US Constitution. Healthcare professionals are like teachers and policemen, taught that collectivism and teamwork must take precedence over individualism, and that the rights of the individual must always be subjugated to the rights of the greater community. The NHS in the UK is a perfect example of that, of how collectivism harms and destroys. I know this because there are doctors and healthcare workers in my family, and their indoctrination is quite evident and very, very frightening. But they chase their ambitions and they want more money, and they get plenty of that, I can assure you. At the cost of what? I could go on and on about collectivism, but I'm sure your time and my time is limited to listening to me in my shed. Once again, thank you for listening. I always love your comments, and they are very much appreciated. Thank you. Bye-bye.